Yo, what's up, guys? Dragon Ball Dave back with another Dragon Ball Daima episode review. Just want to share my thoughts, give my 2 cents on it. This is for Dragon Ball Daima episode 11, entitled Legend, which released on December 20th, 2024. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the episode opens up with Neba, coming up laughing, just like he was in the last episode. And I kind of wondered, like, how they don't see him. They definitely do see him, and they have a whole little interaction with Neba here. Uh, he just kind of talks to him, tells him like, "Oh wow, you guys are really going for the Dragon Balls." And we get a little bit of Namekian lore. We find out that Piccolo, for some reason, can't speak Namekian, even though he spoke it to Kami way back when. He didn't know it was Namekian then, but at this point, it's like, dude, Nail's got to be cussing you out in Namekian, and like in your head, like cussing you out in Namekian. Like, how do you not know, Piccolo? That was kind of weird, a little bit, but that's pretty much. Oh, we do find out, like I said, you have to use Namekian to speak, to use the Demon World Dragon Balls. I'm sorry, and so Piccolo can't speak it, so it's very important that they bring Neva along, and so that's why they kind of keep him along or whatever. Now he makes a little comment about them being like Namekians aren't supposed to use their power for conflict or anything like that. And they all kind of like joke and look at Piccolo like, "Hey, what's your problem?" But I thought that was kind of funny because obviously Piccolo and really Demon King Piccolo is the real issue there. But that's interesting because that kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Super. Excuse me, with the angels, how they're not supposed to use their power for good or bad or whatever. Maybe I'm reaching with that a little bit. Who knows? I also want to say Merry Christmas to those of you who are watching this. I got a little delayed making my review, and I started drinking. It's Christmas Day. Pittsburgh sucks. They lost to the Chiefs, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this. I wanted to make this review beforehand, but I didn't do it, so I'm doing it today. And now here we are. But anyways, after that we cut to Dr. Rinsu and Marba, and they're making another Majin, like how they made Majin Ku. They do it with Majin Du, and they have a whole little thing where they explain, like, however many centimeters deep you bury it. Like, I'm pretty sure Majin Ku was 5 centimeters deep. Majin Du is buried 20 centimeters deep. And for some reason, that adds more power to it. We're not sure what that is. And it makes me wonder about the Saibamen, like, if you could, if Nappa would have buried them deeper, could, could they have maybe defeated the Z Warriors up till, Piccolo and company? Really hard to say, but they actually create this guy named Majin Du. Now, Majin Du is really goofy looking. He looks like more of a Majin Buu character, and he acts like it a little bit more. They use the remainder of the essence for him to create him, and like I said, he does act more like Majin Buu. He's like, one of the things he says actually as soon as he arrives, he's like, "Ncha, ncha," and anybody who follows Toriyama's stuff like that knows that's a rally. Arale, how do you say her name? Like, that's Arale. And that right there is like, she's broken in Toriyama's mind. Well, the way he's always portrayed her anyways. She's been broken. So I do think Majin Du is actually going to be a big bad mofo. And we're going to see that a little bit more because he's going to fight Tamagami 1 right off the bat. But before we get to that, we have Majin Ku and Majin Du share some chocolate, and Majin Du basically tries to debo it, so they're fighting over snacks. And Majin Ku is like, "I've always wanted to fight over snacks. I've always wanted a brother." Even though he's only been alive for like, I don't know, 30 minutes a day. However long he's been alive. Not even a full day. But he's always wanted a brother for that time, I guess. And it's interesting because there was a little joke from Hibis prior, a couple episodes back, about the Kaioshin, I'm sorry, the Glens, Shin and Rinsu and Degasu, and Hibis is like, "Oh, you guys must have used to fight over snacks." And I thought that was kind of funny, a little bit of a callback to that. We actually see though when Marba and Rinsu are making Majin Du, they need something from the store, and so that little comment from Majin Ku in the last episode where he's like, "I'm really fast and I could be good for shopping or whatever." That did come full circle. He went and got him something. I don't remember what it was. But then we get to back to the ship and stuff, and Goku and Vegeta are basically telling him, like, hey, we want to fight the Tamagami, and I'm fighting him first. And Neva's kind of like, I can't believe these little young bucks want to fight the Tamagami and stuff. And that's pretty much it from there. Like I said, after Majin Buu is born, he goes straight to the Tamagami to fight him. Tamagami 1 in Demon World 1. And actually, Majin Buu kind of gets handled by Tamagami 1. But I will say this, he does pretty well with how he's doing, especially compared to Majin Buu. But he doesn't appear to be aware of his abilities. When Tamagami 1 launches a blast at him, Majin Buu looks at his hand like, oh wow, how do you do that? And blasts himself in the face. Now, Majin Buu knew how to do that already. Majin Buu has not known how to do that. So, that was kind of interesting to see that. But he pretty much just uses a very unorthodox fighting style and goes toe-to-toe with Tamagami 1. Now, at first, he's not really doing anything. Tamagami 1's still pushing him back, like throwing him around. But there's no major damage coming on. And as it goes on, man, we see, especially based on the Majin Buu fight, Tamagami 1 is getting hit. He's taking damage from Majin Buu. Majin Buu is doing stuff. And, you know, they set the bar so high with that Tamagami 3 versus Goku fight that it's going to be really, really hard to top that, in my opinion. But based on what we see right here, so far anyways, I mean, Majin Buu is definitely the real deal. Now, Neva, interestingly, doesn't bring up any difference in the strength between the Tamagamis. Now, like I said, Majin Buu is just fighting unorthodoxly against Tamagami, and that goes into the end of the episode like that. They're just battling. Then we also have, because they're so close to the Tamagami, in the second world, Goku and Vegeta are coming up, and Vegeta says he's going to square off with the Tamagami at first. And the Tamagami, of course, disrespects me. He's like, you're just a kid. Go suck on your mama's teat. And it's like, take that, Vegeta. Vegeta tells him, you'll regret saying that once the fight started. Then they square off. And actually, they square off after the Tamagami realizes Neva's there. And he's like, oh, wow, you're serious. You really want to fight me? My apologies, then. Let's do it. And I pointed this out in episode 8 when Goku beat Tamagami 3. Tamagami 3 mentioned that Goku was a fair fighter. And I think that that's a factor in how Tamagami 2 was going to fight. And that's kind of shown here. He's not about like, hey, I'm beating you fair and square, up and at it. They square off and they pretty much fight evenly. You could argue Vegeta's maybe, doing his Vegeta stuff so it looks cool. But ultimately, he gets smacked down into the water by Tamagami 2 with the trident. And then the Kraken comes. Yeah, the big monster that Goku and Vegeta can't beat. Mistranslation. But it's not a mistranslation. They can't beat it. But the big Kraken comes and it goes to swallow up Vegeta. Now, of course, Vegeta's no sucker. He just powers up and flies out. And as soon as he flies out of the Tamagami's mouth, out of the Kraken's mouth, Tamagami 2 catches him and is like, I was waiting for you. And bitch smacks him with the trident right back into the fucking Kraken's mouth. The Kraken swallows him, and that's where the credits roll. We're like, whoa, talk about a cliffhanger. So that's, the end of the episode, and that's pretty much all I have to add on it for now. We do know that Vegeta is alive, because the next episode preview shows him kind of unconscious, and I really do believe he's going to have a whole little side quest inside the Kraken, kind of like Jonah in the belly of the whale type deal. He's gonna get swallowed up or like how Goku and Vegeta did against Super Buu way back in Z, which I already paralleled the Kraken to Super Buu before, so this is interesting. Maybe I'll be wrong on this, but like I said, we know Vegeta's alive, and we know Goku's probably gonna do something. I'm actually gonna wager a guess here that they decide it's going to take too long to rescue Vegeta, and it would be easier to wish him back, or do this, or do that, or do this. So they're going to go ahead and get the second world Dragon Ball, and go about their business. Now, a lot of people were disappointed with the fact that Vegeta didn't just power up into Super Saiyan and get out of it. But I don't really think that's what they were intending right there. Now, don't get me wrong. I was kind of hoping for it, too. I was like, hey, come on, Vegeta. What are you doing, man? Power up. Here we go. Let's see that aura just knock that Kraken's mouth open. And it didn't happen like that. But, the way it ended abruptly. So the next episode could open up right with that and Vegeta powering out of it. This was still a great episode. I'm enjoying Daima, as I say every week. This was not as good as last week's episode. However, the action is better. The Majin Buu fight and the Vegeta vs. Tamagami 2 fight are way better than the Majin Buu and Tamagami 1 fight. Because, and to be honest, the Tamagami 2 fight with Vegeta isn't even all that great because it's so short-lived. But the animation's so clean. It's awesome to watch. Like I said, they set that bar so high with that Tamagami 3 versus Goku fight. Can they top cutting the hammer in half with the power pole? Can they really top that? I mean, come on, guys. Seriously, can they top that? That was great. But, I'm hyped for next week. We've got some stuff going here, Now we find out Majin Buu is not totally fodder. His name is Majin Buu, so I need to say this just so I've said it. I put it in Discord and stuff, but I need to say it out loud so people acknowledge it. If they fuse, that is definitely the biggest Star Wars reference of all to me. Majin Dooku. Like, the guy who trained Qui-Gon, Palpatine's apprentice, Anyways, I think this was still a great episode. Wasn't quite as good as last week's episode. Didn't have the greatest fights as episode 8, but was still a very solid episode with lore building and, learning a little bit more. Like I said, it's a little weird that Piccolo doesn't know Namekian. I'm not totally triggered by that, because the only time we actually ever see him speak Namekian, he doesn't even know he's speaking Namekian. But, it's also one of those things where, like, come on, man, Nail's inside of you. There's no, like, you assimilated. There's no way you don't know. Especially because you have memories of Neva somehow. You knew who Neva was, the legendary Namekian. You had to have gotten that from Nail. So that was a little iffy. That's one of those things where I don't know if Daima's trying as hard as they could, but overall, I still enjoyed the episode, and, I can't wait for next week's episode, which will be in 2 days based on when I'm recording this. So if you made it this far, Merry Christmas. I appreciate you tolerating me talk and watching the video. Let me know your thoughts. This definitely was a shorter review than usual. I didn't give my full effort with this, but, I am still all invested in Daima here, and I want everybody to stay on the train if they can, But have a Merry Christmas.